Summer morning spilled across the city like warm milk poured over rooftops and windowsills. From the street below drifted the yeasty perfume of fresh bread from the corner bakery. Only a few cars rolled lazily down the still sleepy road. Inside a modest two-room apartment on the 4th floor, Lena had been up for half an hour already. She set the kettle to boil, wiped the sill, slid the final papers into a neat folder. Today felt almost like a holiday. After 5 years of saving, they were finally about to collect their first car. For those 5 years Lena had lived with discipline, extra shifts at the publishing house, late-night bookkeeping for a neighbor's shop, whole weekends sacrificed to numbers and receipts. Every time she imagined the blue sedan waiting for them, she pictured quiet drives to the lake, quick trips to see her parents in the village, sunrises beyond the city sprawl. Sergei had only just stirred from bed. His morning ritual was predictable: stretch, bury himself in the blanket, mutter about how early it still was. "Why are you hopping around like that?" he asked, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "The dealership won't even open before 10. "I just want everything ready," she said, double-checking the folder with the receipts. "It's a big day, Sergei." "A big day," he yawned. "We could have just bought something used and spared the drama." Lena smiled faintly. Over the years she had learned to avoid arguments. A single careless remark could spiral into a pointless debate. Peace was easier bought with silence. An hour later they set out across sun-baked pavement toward the bus stop. Sergei didn't suggest a taxi. Why waste the money? And Lena didn't insist. Her pulse hummed with anticipation. Finally, the dream becomes real. The dealership greeted them with the sheen of polished metal and the intoxicating scent of new leather. A salesman handed them the final paperwork, offered a firm handshake, and congratulated them. Lena's throat tightened as she scribbled her signature. "We did it." The blue sedan shimmered by the window like a toy someone had finally allowed her to hold. "Pretty sharp," Sergei muttered, circling the car. "All right, let's roll." She looked at him expectantly, waiting for the words, "Your turn, go ahead." She had earned her license a year earlier, practicing parallel parking in empty lots just for this moment. Instead, Sergei chuckled and said, "Greater than, listen, I'll take Mom for rides on this. You can keep walking to work. On your new car, I'll drive with my mom, you'll walk to work." The words landed like a sudden douse of cold water. "What?" she whispered. "Oh come on, you're used to walking. Good for your health. I'll take Mom to the shops, visit some friends. You'll survive a little exercise." He patted the hood, eyes glinting with casual certainty. Inside Lena something knotted tight. 5 years of sacrifice reduced to a throwaway joke, except his tone wasn't playful. Memories crowded in, the overtime hours, the missed birthdays, her quiet mantra, "A wife keeps peace, always support the man." The salesman, sensing tension, discreetly slipped toward another desk. Lena clenched the keys so hard her knuckles whitened. "Speak up. Swallow it again." Habit pressed at her throat, years of saying nothing whenever Sergei claimed the bigger slice. She wanted to shout, "It's our car, I dreamed of this too." But the words froze. "Don't sulk," Sergei said, giving her shoulder a perfunctory tap. "I'll get used to it first. You can walk a bit more, keeps your figure slim." She nodded mechanically, masking the storm inside. The next day stretched sticky and slow like July heat. Each morning Sergei pocketed the keys, strode downstairs, and disappeared in a glint of sunlight off the hood. Lena traced her familiar walking route, past the kiosk where an old woman sold newspapers, past the bench littered with chalk drawings, past the rusted fence that creaked in the breeze. Her feet throbbed, her heart heavier still. In the evenings Sergei smirked. "Good stroll. Walking keeps you young, yeah." She curved her lips into a thin smile. Lying awake later, ceiling dimly lit by the city glow, she replayed the words again and again. "Why do I stay silent? Why always bend?" The upbringing that told her, "A woman keeps harmony," clashed with an emerging whisper of dignity. On Sunday they visited Sergei's mother. Of course, he drove. On the way he teased her again, saying city traffic would scare her anyway. She bit back any protest. Years of yielding had become automatic, as natural as breathing. Yet during the long walk to work each weekday, a quiet conviction pulsed stronger: silence itself is a habit. Habits can change. The 30-minute trek became a mirror for her thoughts. Sunlight glared on her shoulders, yet cool resolve flowed underneath. The car is not just metal, it is the symbol of my effort. I have a right to stand for it. Colleagues asked, Puzzled, Lena, didn't you buy a car? Why are you still walking? She only shrugged. She wasn't ready to share the private ache, but every question chipped away at the old resignation. Shame shifted into determination. This will not last forever. So the habit of quiet compliance began to crack like old paint on a window frame. Step by step, Lena sensed she was walking not only to work but toward a day when silence would end and her voice would finally matter.